camera. Hold on, I'll do this. So I've never done an interview like this, and neither has she. I'm here with Lacy Lewter. Lacy is one of my really good friends from high school, and I think the best place to start Lacy's story is in high school. And so what we're going to do is talk to her. I want to hear her story. It's probably not what you expect, but she ended up here in this bed on this air machine, and there's a lot of things that happened between high school and here. So let's talk to Lacy. I'm going to get this.
Okay, so high school was very popular. It was easy.
Yeah, so I was just looking through our yearbooks over the weekend. How many different clubs were you in high school?
I think just all of them.
All of them? just all of them?
I mean, like our senior year, the Who's Who. I know I got a lot of those.
You participated about as much as everything as you could.
Yeah. All my friends did. Everybody. I think our class was really cool because we were all friends, kind of.
Yeah, a big portion of us were all really good friends. And you and some of your friends would even be considered the goody-goody
Yes,
ladies.
we were.
Yeah, you weren't getting in trouble or suspended. You weren't doing drugs. You weren't doing none of that.
Never got in trouble in school. Never did drugs in school. Like, we might smoke a cigarette and split a 6-pack of Zima between like 8 of us. But then after some postpartum that was undiagnosed and a prescription of Adderall, I had a meth addiction. It's about 7 years worth of meth addiction.
So in high school, you weren't getting fucked up. You might show up to a party, but you'd have like one Zima. You and Hillary might split a cigarette or something. You were known as the goody-goody girls. Like, you just aren't part of that crowd. And I only bring that up. I bring that up for a good reason that I want to get into. Because what happened after high school? I'm
with you on the reason. Well, after high school, I got married young, had a child young, had postpartum, and I just had my confidence was just whittled down to a nub by then. But you take all of that and a prescription of Adderall and some diet pills too, the good ones from the Oklahoma bad doctor. Phentermine,
yep.
Fin, but only one of the fins. They made you have a lot of energy.
So how old were you when you got your prescription of Adderall?
Oh goodness, I was old. I should have never been diagnosed with ADHD. I was grown. Worked at the hospital. I was probably 24, and I went to. We're working on getting me regulated on an antidepressant, and then I ended up on something for ADHD. And I remember, like, instantly, the first day that I took an Adderall, I remember thinking, this is how people feel? Like, no wonder I've been depressed.
Right.
No wonder I can't get anything done. If this is how normal people feel, but it wasn't. And then, but I took it as prescribed for years. After all my experience and looking back now, I can see how I was an addict and didn't even know it. And actually, even after I started using meth, for about a year, didn't even realize that that was a problem. I was like a functional addict or whatever. And
how did you jump into that? What was the jump from my prescription?
I've been on it for years, and knowing that Adderall, that I was already basically taking meth, and then I had a job, and I had a roommate that liked to get into my pills sometimes, so like I had to go to work and I had no medicine, and so then I just got meth.
How did you even know where to get it?
Well, I can't talk about that.
You don't have to tell me names, but random guy I knew type stuff?
No, not a random person at all. Someone who I'd known for a long time, and I knew that they used, and I knew that the answer was going to be no when I asked, but I was prepared to be like, well, I'm going to do it regardless, and da-da-da.
So if you don't get it from me, I'll get it from someone else.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
And I just wanted to go to work. My prescription, I knew that I could not function without it. I'd been on it for so long. I couldn't even get out of bed if I was out of pills.
So your first day on meth, were you like, whoa, this is a whole new level?
No.
Or were you just like back to normal?
Back to normal.
Really? So it's that close?
Adderall's worse than meth, I'd say.
Wow. Why?
Okay, well, on Adderall, I mean, I could stay up like 2 weeks.
Okay.
No sleep. Like, I would catch my sleeping naps, like little 5-minute naps here and there. Meth's definitely not like that. Like 3 or 4 days maximum. So that's pretty huge difference. Plus, Adderall kind of made me feel less like less emotions, just flatter. I felt flat.
Okay. So you made your jump to meth. You were out of pills. You found a buddy that you knew could get it. You talked him into it. So how do you keep doing it from there? Is it like next week I need some more? Tomorrow I need some more?
Actually, no. Then whenever my prescription was ready to be refilled, like I just went right back to taking my Adderall and just like keeping a better eye on it. So I don't know how long. It was a good while between the first time that I used it, and then I really have no idea when the next time was. I'm sure I was just out.
Did you ever start just only doing meth?
Yeah.
So what was that transition?
The reason for it was money. It was cheaper, honestly. And plus, I didn't have to go to the doctor. It was just easier and more and cheaper, I guess. And the transition as far as switching from a medication to like an illegal substance, there really was none.
It was just more convenient and cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how different they are. I don't think they're very different. But I mean, I was never ADHD to begin with, so that was pretty sucky that I got that late in life diagnosis that nobody had any business giving me.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way I can be the only person who.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
I know you're not.
Who was prescribed Adderall and then like transitioned. Yeah.
So this is where it gets crazy.
Yeah.
So tell me, yeah.
So I was a functional addict for a couple of years, and then I couldn't support my habit anymore, basically. I finally realized I have a problem, and then I like hated myself, and I couldn't support my habit, and it was just like I wanted to run away from all of it, so I did. So I like disappeared, and I went to Fort Smith, where I knew no one.
You went to Fort Smith from?
Boomville. I did it on purpose because I mean, my mom was a teacher, you know, my family was just, I didn't want to bring like that shame on them, first of all, but then also I didn't think that I deserved to be with my family anymore. And I felt like it wasn't their problem. And I just wanted to get away from them, get myself away from them. And that's what I did.
Did you know where to get any meth in Fort Smith?
it didn't take me long to find out, but no, not like
instantly.
Not on my way there. I didn't know. I was more sick of myself than anybody could have been sick of me, so I was just trying to get away.
So then what happened?
After about a year of functional use, then I realized I have a problem. Once I realized that I had a problem, that was all I thought about. I started obsessing over, oh my gosh, how am I going to get out of this? Like, I don't know. I don't see an end. I don't see how I'm going to fix this. And like the next 6 years is just me trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing. Went to several rehabs. I could make it like 100 days sober. But I know the reason now. I would fall off at 100 days. But I didn't know about homeostasis until my last time I went to rehab. So I didn't know that when I had that downswing at 100 days, that if I would just hang on for a little bit longer, I would have another upswing. And then I would be okay. But I didn't know that until the last time I was at rehab. So at the end of my seeking, that was definitely a life changer, knowing that. It's just going to last you just hang on. You just hang on, and then you'll be okay.
And I can see it being familiar with having a withdrawal and like not necessarily that same feeling, but you're on a downswing, and how do I fix it?
Yeah.
I get back up.
Yeah.
And that's what do I always do to get back up? I go back. So
yeah.
I understand that connection.
And you know what? Speaking of that connection, let me tell you a connection that this is so strange. My mom kept telling me, give it to God, give it to God, give it to God. And I felt like I was giving it to God, giving it to God, giving it to God. Like, am I saying a prayer wrong? Am I just going to figure out what she meant, give it to God? Like, I don't know. But then at some point during this whole time, I started thinking about, I count on meth to fix everything. My faith is in meth. If I have a bad day, if I'm sick, if I have a job interview, whatever I needed to do, I didn't have to worry about it because I knew I had drugs. So if you can kind of like make the connection to your higher power and like putting all of your faith, all of your things that are too big for you, you know that you need something to help you handle it, and I knew how to let meth help me handle it, so then I just kind of like passed it over to my higher power. And it was a lot easier to understand, give it to God then.
That's a really good explanation, and I think that could actually help somebody else a lot. Just having heard that makes a lot of sense.
Or like it's out of your control, so let it go. Oh, can we talk about my eyelid tattoos right now? So
let's get into how and why do you have eyelid tattoos?
Okay, so
let's look at your eyelid tattoos. Can you get up? Can you put your eyelids down and get close as we can to this camera?
Okay, this is the eye that you can see it on. I can't tell if I'm close or not. Am I
Yeah,
close?
you are. And you can see them.
You can see RES. Okay.
And so you actually have tattoos on both eyelids that kind of worn off.
It says, who cares?
Who cares is what it says on your eyelids.
But it doesn't mean like, who cares? It means, okay, so, after I gave it to God. Oh, I didn't tell you that part. So I was mad and I gave it to God. I quit. I'm just going to keep getting high. And God, if you want me to get better, then fix me. That was in there too somewhere. I was just like doing drugs and I didn't know how I was going to get out of it yet. But I was very sick. I'd been sick for a long time. And after I said that prayer or said that whatever it was, that I was mad and I was going to quit trying, and fine then, God, you just do it. In like 3 days, I had to go to the emergency room because I was so sick. And the emergency room doctor, he'd run some tests and things, and he came back in the room, and he'd already spoken to me, and he was like happy and just kind of like had a good bedside manner or whatever. He comes back in the room, and he's like super serious. And I knew right then that I was going to be sick.
Yeah.
And that I wasn't, that was going to be my way out. So he was telling me, like, we don't have the doctors here. We don't have the, you're going to have to go to UAMS, and we don't have the people here. And so I'm like smiling as he's telling me this horrible news. Like, I'm not taking it the way that he expected me to. I remember him saying something about it. I don't remember how it went, but I remember him saying, like, you're not, are you hearing me? What I'm saying? You're not taking this very, like, I expect you would. But I knew that I wasn't going to be like insta-clean, but I knew that it was the beginning of the end. Getting sick was the beginning of the end. The first 40 years of my life, I really did not do good with that. So, like, I'm not really tore up about my life. It's going to be short because I wasn't good with the time that I had. And I know now, I know that I'll die sober. Never thought I would say that.
So how did the eyelids happen?
Oh, that's what we were talking about. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So you're in the middle, or maybe even towards the end of your meth addiction?
Yes, it was toward the end. It was the last day I was telling everyone bye. The whole time I wanted my eyelids to say, who cares? To let go of things that weren't in my control. That's what who cares means. It's just, let's turn it loose. Who cares? You can't do it. Anything, you can't change it. So for like 2 years, I've been telling everyone I want this tattoo. And one of my good friends, like, threatened everyone. Like, if anyone tattoos her face, then you're going to get beat up. So nobody tattoo her face. And then, like, my last day that I was in Fort Smith, I said, you're seriously to this person. I was like, you're seriously going to let me go home and die without my eyelids tattooed? Like, that's all I wanted. And so we got a tattoo gun. Someone had one that day. And he did not do tattoos, but he tattooed who cares on my eyelids. And that's, what's that mean?
Wow.
That's like my mantra, like how I got.
How long ago was that?
Over 2 years.
Okay, over 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that was your last day on meth?
No. Well, last week I was on meth. It was the last week I was on meth, yeah. Like the last time I got sober? We have several times that I got sober.
Well, I just want to kind of keep everything in order of how everything happened.
That's so hard. Okay, so...
And was there some kind of biker gang and stuff?
Oh, gosh. There was all the gangs.
Like, this is what I want to know.
There was all the gangs.
So tell me, like, these are the details.
Oh,
so
no.
how did I'm in a book club in high school turn into I'm in a biker gang doing meth, getting my eyelids tattooed?
Oh, the eyelids, though, the eyelid tattoo, that was at the good end of the story. The biker gang, I wasn't in a biker gang, but I ran around. One of my friends was in the biker gang, and I ran around with them quite a bit. But also, like, it's a whole, the meth addiction people, it's like a whole underworld. Like, the daytime people have no idea what goes on in that underworld of, like, nighttime people.
So how did you meet somebody in a gang? How did Lacy
Lewter how did Lacy meet someone in a gang?
Start hanging out with a gang?
Well, I can't really tell you names of people, I don't think.
No.
So...
Please don't tell me names, but I want to know, like, I met
this person,
call him
this
Bill.
man.
Call him Bill.
This young man who was quite a bit younger than me, probably 10 years younger than me, and I hated his guts. He was probably 32 and 22. We'll go for that.
All right.
So, I hated his guts, and he was like had like swastika tattoos and like, you know.
How do you even know this guy?
I don't remember, but I remember not like when he was friends with my friends.
You had similar method dealers and stuff like that?
I'm sure, yeah.
Okay.
He was just like, all of his friends were like gang members. So then, you know, naturally, if I was running around with him 24/7, all of my friends now are gang members.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Let's say you never met them. Would your addiction have stayed the same? Do you think?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
You don't think it would have changed at all if instead you met some people that were really into kayaking, and you had a heart to heart with this guy that was an
I would
all-star?
have looked for people who were doing meth, not people who were kayaking.
Never. I guess that wouldn't have.
No, it was just the drugs. My addiction is so strange compared to other people's. Like, I feel like, okay, take me back to high school to whenever I was a good girl. Then how does a good girl end up, like we said, like a crackhead? I almost feel like it was my wilderness. Like, I wasn't meant to be on that medication. Like, it was because somebody wasn't being responsible, and I was prescribed a medication that I shouldn't have ever been on. And so, like, things just happened to me. And I had to figure out how to, you know, of course, own my part. But things happen so strange. Most of the time, people who are addicts, like, they're around it, they're in their families, or, you know, they just have a different story than me.
You weren't thrown into it. You weren't brought up into it, but it found you. And actually found you because here's a legal piece of paper saying you can have these.
Oh yeah, that was so much worse. Whenever it was legal. And I mean, I was way overprescribed. And like, I wasn't even taking more than what the bottle said.
So if a doctor says, here is a prescription just for you, it's going to make you feel better.
And it's a doctor that I worked with. I worked at the hospital, so, I mean, I worked with him all the time, passing, like, making copies or doing whatever, just chit-chatting back and forth. You know, it was just like anything else that your doctor would prescribe to you. But I don't want to say that, like, blame my addiction on that, because I still have a very large part to own. But I think that was very irresponsible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I understand that.
Put that in there.
Everyone, yeah. So we kind of know the timeline. You know, you get prescribed, you run out of your prescription, you find some meth. Later on down the road, it's just an easier, cheaper thing to start doing meth instead. Mm-hmm. You do meth more consistently. You even meet people who are in gangs.
I lived, when I was in Fort Smith, I was only with people who were like...
That's what you did.
That's what I did.
So, and then we know that eventually you go through rehab a few times, and finally that fifth time is whenever you come home back to Boonville, and since then you've been doing better. But I'd love to know, I want to know some crazy shit that happened when you were in Fort Smith.
Okay.
And leave names out. You can even leave specific places out, but, you know.
I mean, there was some crazy stuff with the cops one time.
Because you weren't just having fun every day.
No, it was not fun. None of it was fun.
So that's what I want to learn. That's what everyone wants. It sounds like you're having fun. It sounds like you were just getting drugs and hanging out with bikers and learning shit, having a great time, party time.
No, it was not fun.
So
it was homelessness and constant.
There we go.
Trying to find food, constant trying to figure out where I was going to sleep that night, constant trying to just, and I did that to myself on purpose. I did that to myself because I didn't want to think about how I'd run my life. So I filled my life up with surviving, and I think that that's why homeless people and mental illness go hand in hand, is because you have to fill your mind up all day long, 24 hours or whatever your wakeful hours are. You are searching or working or you're trying to survive. You're in survival mode.
So I'm gonna get personal with you. Like, what's some of the fucked up shit that you had to do to survive? Were you ever in a position where you were on the corner with a sign saying,
Oh, no.
"We'll work for food"?
Oh no. Actually, I couldn't ever really figure this out. I have two ideas. One of my close friends said it's because of my attitude, because I always have a good attitude, even through the going to jail, running out of gas, being chased by the cops. I've always got a good attitude. And so I never had to people just wanted me around.
You never felt like you hit rock bottom to a point where like it's time to start begging or it's time to start.
No, I didn't ever have to. I didn't ever.
Did you ever have to do any favors for a place to live, stuff like that?
No, it was just really. This is not normal. This is not normal for that lifestyle. It's not normal for people to let you be around whenever you don't bring anything to the table. Although I did know some people. Some people wanted me around because of who I knew. And that was everyone. And most of the time, the people that I knew, it wasn't even connected to drugs. Like different gang members. No, that sounds so silly, gang members. But they are. I didn't know them about, getting meth. It was like, hey, do you want to come over to my mom's for Thanksgiving dinner? Like, it wasn't a drug thing. So I don't see how that really benefited anyone to have me around because of who I knew. I don't know why people wanted me around. I didn't sell drugs.
So you did a lot of couch hopping with people?
Yeah, and I did. We called it softening the look. I have no visible tattoos. Well, now I do on my eyelids. Before then, I had no visible tattoos. I had a valid driver's license. I had a legal vehicle that was insured and tagged and in my name, and everything looked legit. So we called it softening the look. If you have to travel somewhere with someone who maybe has, a rough record,
to have you with them,
it softens the look.
If you're the first person the cop's talking to, I might not even talk to that second or third person because it's you. No criminal record. Everything's on the up and up.
Right.
This girl's definitely not on drugs.
People.
P.S. Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm. And that worked for my benefit also because people saw something in me that they wanted to protect, like something that they had lost of their own self. Like I said, everyone that I hung out with used the needles, and I knew better than to use a needle around any of those people. Like, it would have been the last day of my life. It was very serious that we weren't going to let me do that. I'm very, very grateful to those people.
That could have been a different story.
It absolutely could have been. There were times that it almost was, and I'm just very grateful that I had people who actually cared about me, even though they are addicts.
Yeah.
I still have a group that is I love very much.
And yeah, I think everyone does. I think they do realize she softens the look, but I don't think they were using you. I think you guys were legitimate friends.
I got paid.
Oh, you got paid. You got paid to soften the look.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
And I definitely got paid dollars sometimes, occasionally, to soften the look.
So that was part of it. So you were the look softener.
Yes,
You were the fabric softener.
I was the look softener, the door answerer, the call maker.
Okay. Were you in an intimate relationship with anyone in those gangs or in those circles?
Yes, I was. One in particular. I don't really know how I can say any more about that. We were together, and then I went to rehab for a little while, and then I got out of rehab, and I ran back into him.
On and off for a few years, maybe you could say?
Probably not a few years, probably a year and a half.
Okay.
Maybe 2, but...
Did that end in a dramatic ending?
It was horrible, yes. It did end in a dramatic ending. He did a lot of business, and he knew... I've heard a lot of people say that, like, whenever they get in trouble with the feds, that they know that someone's watching them, that they know, or whatever. And, like, I didn't know any of his business, thank God. Like, just thank God. That would have been so stressful if I would have known any details. But he did tell me that I could not go anywhere with him this specific day, and he said it's just getting too hot, and that's all I knew. And then I got left, and then he went to federal prison.
Were you ever questioned being his...
Thank God, but no. And if they would have questioned me, I didn't know anything. If I started to even talk about anything that I shouldn't know about, he would just shut me up. He was always so sweet to me. He never was rude or mean. But he would just, like, we'd have a code word and he'd say it. And then I knew that I was, that was like, I didn't need to know.
Can I know the code word?
Bacon.
Bacon.
It makes a lot of sense now, huh? Bacon.
Yeah, makes sense. Were you ever, and not necessarily him, but maybe him or maybe someone else, ever abused in any way while running around the circle? Were you beat up, hurt?
Oh, not with him, never.
Robbed, anything?
I did have I was in a couple of abusive relationships. Why I would let myself go through that, I don't know. I mean, these are people that if I saw today, I would be like, I must have been lonely. I must have been so lonely, because not only were they not even good people or good, like, attractive, they were bad. They were bad. They were mean. They weren't nice to me. And they
cloudy judgment, power.
There was yes, and like I got my hair snatched out one time, bald. There was a spot like that big that was bald to the head. I'd say that one was pretty. By the time he ripped my hair out, I knew if I didn't get out of the truck, he would probably kill me that day.
Okay.
There was a different feeling. I'd been beat up by him before, but I'd never had that feeling of it's like life or death. You need to move. So I jumped out of the truck.
Wow. Would you just run home? Or run to a friend or call a friend?
I was walking down, I think so. I think it's Old Greenwood. I had 2 handfuls of hair, of my own hair, that I guess I was trying to save to put back. I don't know. I had blood all over my face, blood all over my shirt. It was cold. I didn't have any socks on. I had 2 handfuls of hair. And I was just crying, and like nobody would stop. And then someone recognized me, and they like pulled over and got me in the car, and thank goodness. Because I was just walking aimlessly, hoping. I didn't have a phone.
What was your rock bottom? Everyone says they hit a rock bottom when they say, now it's time. What was your, it's time to fucking stop here? What was your worst day out there?
I would say more than a day. It was like a building. It was like an increasing pressure building. Like, I just can't do this anymore. I have no desire to do this anymore. I want to see my kids. I want to see my family. I want to be normal. And
You've been homeless for how long?
oh, the whole time.
Well, what does this span? Like 6 years or so?
Yeah, about 6 years. I mean, it was like I slept in my car. I lived in my car for a long time. I lived in motels, people's living rooms. Slept in stairwells before.
What's that motel life? I see that go
Oh,
down.
God,
I see those.
And if you just, the amount of money that you spend on renting a motel room every night, you could rent or buy, I don't even know how much it
But
is.
no one will rent to you, so that's why you're stuck here. Yeah.
But people are hustlers, man. Like to go out and make $100 every day just to pay for the overnight, and then you have to get food and gas and
no job. They're out there hustling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some crazy shit.
Yeah, like I always wanted out, and it doesn't make sense to me when I always think that everybody thinks the same as me, that everybody wants out. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people, that's their life. And that's how they were, like, that's their life. Just like this is my life. That's their life.
So when did you get your life back? About a year and a half, 2 years ago.
I almost have 2 years of sobriety. But I would say, like, I sat in here waiting to die for a long time. I was put on hospice October 2 years ago.
What are you diagnosed with?
Idiopathic pulmonary hypertension and right-sided heart failure.
What's the cause of those things?
Well, they don't know the cause of them, but fen, that's what it caused, and they had like the big class action lawsuit, the diet pills. It caused pulmonary hypertension, and then also all my meth use definitely did not help. Like, it made my heart beat 5 times more and faster than it should have ever been beating. So my heart's extremely enlarged now.
You've been waiting to die. Have they changed your...
Now I'm not really waiting to die anymore.
You were for a while though, right?
Yes. I was for
How
a while.
was that?
Lonely and boring, and I just didn't, like, nobody could give me like a time or an estimate or like how long is this gonna take, or what's the next step. It was just like I was sitting here just suspended, kind of, with no direction. That's the hardest part. That was the hardest part. Oh, I do want to add something that I never would have thought before. You could have asked me, like, I wouldn't take if you can pay me $10 million to go back and go through that lifestyle again. But now I feel like in my heart and in myself, like, I guess just knowing myself, being an adult, I would do it over again if I was assured that I would be back to this place after I made it out. I would do it over again.
You would?
Yes. I've never been able to say that before.
Why?
So that should tell you how much of a change there's been in myself.
You would think someone would say, I wonder what life would have been like had I not done that.
And I would still be sick. I'd still be at my mom's. It would have all been the same. No matter what I had, no matter what career I had or whatever, I would have still gotten sick, and I would still be on hospice. And
you think so?
Yeah.
When you live another 10 years and we got...
I'm going to be really mad.
So, that's not what you're supposed to say.
I'm going to be really mad. Well, that just is what you're supposed to say. You just don't understand. Like...
Well, what would you say if you could leave a message right now in that camera to 10 years from now Lacy, who is surprisingly still alive, what are you telling future Lacy that you didn't even think would exist?
Oh, I don't know. I would be mad. I would be like, I don't even know. Why do I gotta tell future Lacy something? She ought to have it figured out. Been alive for 10 more years. I don't know. I wouldn't, I don't feel like I will last 10 more years. I haven't really had, like, I mean, my prognosis has been here to here, you know, up and down and all over to the point to where I I don't even know. You know, I don't know. But here lately, things have been happening that are new. End of life things. And let me just say that I'm at peace. I'm at peace. I'm excited. I really am excited to see, you know, what's on the other side.